that infernal tree. Now then, you four, bring that accursed golden fruit and follow me. Don't keep moving. Once I'm through with them, the rabble of Pac-Land will know the meaning of true terror.
Pac-Man World 2, Repac.
Oh boy, we're gonna have a lot to discuss here, are we? Hopefully y'all can hear my audio. If y'all can, let me know down below in the comments right now, because I'm about to go on this game right now. So, Pac-Man World 2 Repac. Okay, I kind of want to give you the history of, like, how this game kind of came to be a little bit before, like, I kind of, like, just start talking about, like, why I bought this game and stuff and whatnot. Let me see if y'all could hear me first. Repac. Perfect, y'all could hear me. Nice, awesome. Supremo. Go bueno Gambino over here. But, so I originally saw, because I originally played, if you guys remember, earlier, I think in 2025 or 2024, either one of those 2 years, I played the Peach Shooter 2009. Welcome to stream, by the way. Hi, love your name, by the way. Love Plants vs. Zombies. One of my favorite games of all time. I don't know why my comments aren't showing up on my stream, so that's a little weird, but I won't mind it. I won't worry about it. But anyway, so I played the original Pac-Man World 2 way earlier that year because I wanted to play Pac-Man World 2, and I played it, and obviously I have a review on it that you guys can go watch, and I didn't beat that version of the game. So when Bandai later on announced, Pac-Man World 2 Repac, I initially wasn't really excited for it, mainly because I remembered what happened during my original experience when I played it on my Wii/GameCube earlier in 2025, and I remembered the ice levels being a pain in the D and all that other sort of stuff, the game not being fun for me, and all that other sort of stuff, and whatnot, and so on, right? What's your favorite Wii game? Not 100% sure what my favorite Wii game is. But I do love a good chunk of them, man, like Smash Brothers, Galaxy, great games. But anyway, so after I played, like I said, the original and found out that the remake is coming, I remember I was not excited for it, but then I kind of got excited for it because since it's a remake, right? That means like they can change so many things from the original game and make them better, because that's what remakes are supposed to do. They're supposed to keep the original game intact, touch up on a couple of things, and sell it back to you with all new fancy graphics and maybe gameplay changes that are for the better. And now this was one of my pet peeves with Pac-Man World 2, the original release, right? Was the rev jumps, the ramp rev jumps. I remember I made that a big fucking complaint in my review because they suck to pull off, they suck to perform, and I was thinking Pac-Man World 2 Repac was going to have them, right? And Lord and behold, when I got my hands on the game, I think it was like a little bit about a month later, my brother said, you know what, here's $40, I'm going to get you the digital deluxe version, right? So that way you can have all the content in the game, including the Sonic levels, okay? And I was like, oh, okay, bet. I get the base game of Pac-Man World 2. And this time, I'm actually going to beat it this time. Because I remember that's what my determination was. Because I was like, you know what? Unlike the original Pac-Man World 2, I'm going to actually go ahead and beat the remake version of it, right? And I just got to tell y'all something. Pac-Man World 2 Repac looks absolutely gorgeous. The overall, in cutscenes, the in and out of cutscenes, all the animations, all of it looks great. It looks phenomenal. I love the game, and it's just super cool, right? Just to look at, just to go, because you're seeing Pac Village, you're seeing how beautiful it looks. By the way, keep in mind, they made it like a whole-ass hub world that you can explore, which I thought was really, really cool. And getting to go over to all the little areas, the little hub world areas for that specific world, I thought that was really cool too. I thought being able to explore Pac-Land, collect all the fruits and shit. Another thing that Pac-Man World Repack kind of did that kind of caught me off guard was gave everybody voice acting. Keep this in mind, right? In the original Pac-Man World 2, Pac-Man never spoke. In the original Pac-Man World 1, Pac-Man never spoke. He was the silent protagonist, which a lot of people know Pac-Man for being that guy that only does like noises and stuff, like a little innie, like the kind of, he's kind of one of those iconic silent type characters, right? So when I saw that Repac decided, hey, let's give Pac-Man a voice, I remember at first I was not feeling it. I was like, what the fuck? Why does Pac-Man have a voice? This is reminding me very heavily. Favorite game of all time? That's tough. But one of my absolute favorites is Super Mario RPG, Undertale, Deltarune, some of those games. Those are some of my absolute favorites. I love those games. But anyways, as I was saying, right? So they gave Pac-Man a voice. And last time they gave Pac-Man a voice was Pac is Back in the Pac-Man Ghostly Adventure Show. Or if you want to go there for the video games, Pac-Man World 3, which is easily the worst Pac-Man World game out of the trilogy, if I remember correctly, because they gave Pac-Man a voice, they tried to give it God of War combat, all that other sort of stuff. So that's what my mind immediately went to in terms of the voice acting. But when I actually listened to Pac-Man's voice in-game, right, I thought it was going to be like the worst sounding shit on the planet. But when I played the game and started hearing his voice more and more, it's like I loved it. I warmed up to his voice immediately. For some reason, the voice that they gave Pac-Man in Pac-Man World 2 fit his character completely. And I get it, like in the Pac-Man World series, Pac-Man's already a dad, he has his kids, so they gotta make him sound like your run-of-the-mill, like, kind of dad character, right? But I thought I would just be like, I'm kind of cringing up at this because I'm so used to Silent Pac-Man. Nah, man. Like, his voice actually fits Pac-Man. All the Ghost's voices for them fit. Even Spooky's voice, for his character fit. And to kind of get into the gameplay a little bit, and I know I'm not really showing the gameplay, but because I would rather just, like, kind of talk about it, like, in an old-school kind of review sense. Usually, most reviews would show you the gameplay. I do have footage of my own I can show you and stuff, but of the game. But when I got into the game and started playing it, dude, not only just how it looked, like I mentioned earlier, all of it looks good, but all of the music, too, in Pac-Man World 2, like the original game, all made their returns seamless. All of it, like, just came back from the original game, put in here with a couple of touch-ups, I think, if I remember correctly. That was good, and honestly, I won't lie, the gameplay felt like a way bigger and better version of Pac-Man World 2, because in Pac-Man World 2, the original, you can move your camera, like, a little bit, but, like, I remember one of the biggest problems in the original game was its camera. So having the camera that much more further back, 360-degree vision on your camera, right? So you're, think of Pac-Man right here, and then the camera's, like, back here. Not so far back to the point where it's kind of annoying and you can't see anything, but it's like at the perfect angle where you can see Pac-Man. Like, you can also close up on Pac-Man if you want it, but you can back up enough, have 360 vision to see everything around you. And it just made the game, like, on top of that, with just the camera feature alone and Pac-Man being more further back so I could see more of the stage in front of me and more of what's behind me, that much better than the original game. It wasn't even fucking funny. I was like, dude, no way. This makes Pac-Man World 2 feel so much better, because I remember, like, the camera in original World 2 was a little bit too close for my liking sometimes, and maybe even downright just not good, right, at other times. But also, another thing about Pac-Man World's gameplay is that they actually completely, and I mean they completely removed the ramp jumps, right? Because this is one of my biggest fears, because in Pac-Man World 2, the original game, early on, they introduced you to this this jump mechanic, rev roll jumping, where basically you rev roll off a ramp, but you also, like, have all the momentum from the rev roll, and you jump and you launch yourself further into the stage, right? In the original game, they would be doing that shit heavy. I remember in World 1, you had to do it a couple of times just to reach the next bit. of the area, right? In Repac, they completely removed that feature. Like, there is no such thing as rev roll jumping from the original game in Pac-Man World 2, like the remake. And when I saw that there wasn't any of that stuff in the remake, I was happy because that meant I could actually play the fucking game how it was intended. Like, how, I could actually sit there and play the actual game, be happy, and love life, right? It was amazing. The level designs, like I said, were great. I enjoyed them. And I also want to talk about something massive, because this is something Pac-Man World 2 also decided to change. Hold on. Let me get in there. They changed up the boss battles. So, one of the things about Pac-Man World 2, like the original game, correct, right? Is, for example, oh god, the bosses in the original were kind of weak. They were kind of lame, I think. Like, I'm also going to do, like, comparisons. I'm going to show you the original boss battles, because I don't remember, like, me making it to very many boss battles in the original game in comparison to the remake, because the remake boss battles is what I thought. So we're going to talk about those here in a bit. Let me just get this ad out the way for like 40-50 minutes, kind of ruining my review right here, getting that little break. But anyway, so let me show you like the remake boss. So I want to show you the ones on PS2 before I show you the ones on the remake. So let me show you. So if I remember correctly, a lot of the bosses in Pac-Man World 2, the original, had a lot of issues where basically exact same boss over and over again, right? But like they're just like slightly stronger. And it's just kind of weird that in Pac-Man World 2 they would do that in comparison to the remake, which the remake's boss battle right here, let me just show you, right? As you can see here, they changed so much shit.
Ha! I spy my first golden fruit. All right, Clyde, the jig is up. How about handing over that fruit?
Right?
Man? That's a no-can.
So basically Clyde and him talk, right? And you fight this giant frog, which I wasn't, anyway, are we hanging before I head to work? Yeah, let me try to get this review done, and I'll see what I can do. So anyways, if I remember correctly, because I don't remember the first boss in the original Pac-Man World 2 that well, you fight a giant frog, right? And keep in mind, all the bosses in the remake game are actually completely different. Completely different from the original, right? From the original game. Like, you have your Mecha Owl here, which I thought was going to be like World 2's boss. They were just going to follow the trend of the original game, but no, they didn't. And they actually like made like Pinky have a giant ass polar bear, which I thought was also a bitch. Easily the worst boss for me in Pac-Man World 2, other than the Mega Whale Submarine, right? Was easily like Blinky's fucking robot spider. That was a bitch to dodge all of his music notes and all that other sort of shit. Just trying to sum up to be a little quick, right? And oh fuck no, Spooky was something else. I gotta talk about him. I'm gonna try to pass all this shit up. All the other bosses, they may have been annoying, but Spooky, I would easily say, was one of the most annoying motherfuckers I had to fight in a fat minute. You're gonna see why, right? We're gonna skip on through a little bit of the cutscene here. So, he starts off a little bit where you have to, like, kind of hit him. And the whole goal, right, is obviously to make all his health bars go down. And you can, because you can easily pass phase 1 if you know what you're doing. But what you got to do is you got to go up to Spooky while he's in the middle of doing some of his magic attacks. And then wham him in the middle of his magic. Because if you wait too long at the ending of phase 1 of his magic, you won't dish out any damage. He'll just warp away from you and all that other sort of shit. Which he can throw meteors, he can summon lightning, he can summon skeleton monsters, as you can see right here. And then also he like comes up and swipes you, right? So that you're thinking, okay, that's it. That's the final boss, right? Right there. Not a problem. Nah.
Bad Pac-Man, I've enjoyed this. But the fun has just begun.
Nah.
You shall pay the price for sealing me under that rotten tree. Once I've defeated you, I'll take my time picking apart Pac-Land.
That's fair. I wasn't going for you to drop everything to hang out. you know how to find me. I'll be on playing D2, hyping me up for this game I want to show you. Got you. I got you, bro. Trust. So now phase 2 is all about trying to find the real Spooky, cause damage to him while he's doing the thunder attacks, most of the moves from phase 1 all over again and stuff, and which was a massive problem, right? So I was like fucking struggling on this one for a little bit because it was kind of a bitch. I don't mean to turn, it's loud as shit at 30. But you're probably wondering, okay, that's phase 2, shouldn't be that bad, right? So we go on to, now he has a phase 3. Spooky has a phase 3. He gets big, he gets giant, and he's gold now. So you're like, okay, now I gotta do 3 more hits, on top of already doing so many hits to begin with the other bosses. By the way, you better dodge that thunder move because it will cause massive damage to you, which he can summon meteors, fucking lightning bolts and stuff, like lightning that actually comes your way, like all that other sort of shit. He can do that, right? Which is something, right? And I remember struggling on Spooky for a very long time, right? And then you go Golden Pac-Man and finish the job. And then you have all the bosses all redone, which are made much harder than the original. And Spooky also has a round 2, which basically the fight just plays out the same in some sort of way. And all that other sort of stuff. But also, before the Sonic DLC came out, you also got a funny fight with Talkman, which was also really cool. I enjoyed the fight, but I was also kind of annoyed because it also had 3 to 4 phases, and if you get knocked off once, you have to redo the whole fight without checkpoints. So that Talkman fight was kind of a bitch because of that, right? So you're probably thinking, okay, the game is done, right? You talked about, like, basically most things in the game. One thing that I really do want to emphasize on this game, and I'm going to mention it before we talk about, like, the Sonic levels and stuff, is the time trials, okay? So, as you guys know, I am a big advocate for time trials, okay? Or not a big advocate, but more like I played a lot of time trials in Crash Bandicoot, and because of Crash Bandicoot, like Insane Trilogy with Crash 1, 2, and 3, and then, 1, 2, and 3, and then you had Crash 4, It's About Time's time trials, and all this other sort of stuff, right? So, it led to me, for a very long time, hating the idea of time trials in other games, and because of that experience of time trials in Crash Bandicoot, that kind of took me a long time to kind of be like, I'm going to try and do time trials again, because every single time I would see anything with time after Crash Bandicoot, bro, it would just put me in a trance of absolute anger, absolute hate, and all this other sort of stuff, right? And seeing that Pac-Man World 2 Repac also had time trials, I was thinking Pac-Man World 2's time trials, excuse me, are going to be the exact same as Crash Bandicoot's, where you are racing against the clock to try to get good times, which is still kind of is basically that, but it does it in a different way. But I thought it was going to be like, you race against the time, you get shit to slow down your timer, all that other sort of shit. That is not correct. Pac-Man World 2, instead of doing that method, which you are still racing against the time, but what you go and do is you go throughout the stage, you hit boxes to get the time clocks in those designated places, and basically it adds a stopwatch to your timer, right? It doesn't like go to your timer and stop it for that moment. What it does is the more clocks you collect in that said level you're going through time trialing in, right? The more time that is going to be taken off to your final total when you reach the end of the level. So, when I saw that for the first time, and I mean when I saw this for the first time in Pac-Man World 2, like, I deadass, right, was like, actually really happy. Because keep in mind, every game that had time trials, you had to do it in that one attempt. Whatever time you got at the end was whatever time you got at the end. And if there was crates or anything to help stop what you got going on, that's what it was. Crash Bandicoot's time trials were engraved in my head for years because of that, right? So seeing that Pac-Man World 2 basically says, just play through the level again, and this also includes boss fights. Boss fights also have time trials in the game. just play through the boss. And time trials for boss are a little different, which I'll explain that in a little bit. But I want to talk about how time trials work in regular levels, right? So when I saw that time trials work as, okay, you run through the stage, you hit as many boxes where a fruit would normally be in or other things would be in, and they would replace it with a clock that goes up, and once you beat the, like you reach the end of the stage, it says 3 minutes because you reach there in 3 minutes. Now, because you have all the clocks from within the level, like the 2 clocks, 3 clocks, 4 clocks, 5 clocks, 1 clocks, 2 clocks, all that stuff, right? All those clocks that you collected in that level will be added up to how much time gets decreased from your overall time that you made it in originally. And that is phenomenal. But if you have fairy mode on, right, fairy mode, the other difficulty setting, which basically fairy mode in Pac-Man World 2 Repac is basically like easy mode where you can't take damage, or you can still get stunned by damage, but you can't actually like die by damage. And basically, if you have this mode on during the time trials, boss or regular level, basically because you added you played it in fairy mode instead of the original normal mode, you will get time between 40 seconds, 2 whole minutes, 30 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds added to your overall total if you play time trials in fairy mode. But if you don't, basically you won't get an added total like time going up shit on time trials and all the other sort of shit, which I found out because I played basically the secret content, like the post-game content, all on fairy mode. So I can tell you for a fact because I was so done with the base game because the base game kind of pushed me to my absolute limit, which in turn made me kind of like get pissed, not rage quit, but like get pissed a lot and, you know, struggle a bit. And I was kind of tired of struggling, so I just put the whole game in fairy mode for the post-game content, even the Sonic content, and just said, fuck it, I'm gonna roll with it. And also, it's kind of cool that Pac-Man World 2 also allows fairy mode within the time trials themselves. So that was also kind of cool. And again, I was so amazed by this time trial method that Pac-Man World 2 decided to do. I really hope that Pac-Man World 2 Repac kind of continues that trend if they ever go down the route of completely remaking Pac-Man World 3. Like, if they remake Pac-Man World 3, please keep that time trial shit the same. Don't change it. I think it's great. And I think it's a way better time trial method than Crash Bandicoot ever was. And this isn't just me trying to say, okay. What I'm trying to say is this isn't just me just shitting on Crash Bandicoot because I think Crash Bandicoot is kind of shitty as of nowadays, right? Because I played it so goddamn much. I'm saying this as a fucking fact. The time trials in Pac-Man World 2 Repac feel like a proper evolution than what Crash Bandicoot's time trials were, right? In my complete, humble, and honest opinion, Pac-Man World 2 time trials were so much better. Still difficult, depending on what level you're doing in the time trials, but it was so much better than what fucking Crash Bandicoot did that, like, damn, I don't think I could ever do time trials in Crash Bandicoot and think of them the same again. But, another thing, about the boss's time trials, right? Basically, what ends up happening is basically, there's no clocks, so you can't, like, take time, like, to decrease your time. You basically you refight the boss, but there's a timer, and then once the boss ends, the timer will stop, or once you get, like, the boss item, then the time trial will end, and basically whatever your time was, they'll score it to either a bronze, silver, or a gold medal. Gold medals are the best that you can achieve in the time trials on regular levels and boss time trials and stuff. Which, to be honest with me, I mostly just went in there and kind of bronzed them. If I did get a gold, I got it, or if I got a silver, I got it. I can definitely tell that my mindset on time trials have completely changed after Crash Bandicoot kind of wore me out of that entire category, which, again, fuck you, Crash Bandicoot. But, I can tell that I kind of changed and kind of lightened up on trying to go for the best shit. And just said, fuck it, I want to actually have a good time, and if I get more bronzes than golds, who gives a fuck? Because it all feels like bragging rights at the end of the day. You know, not something actually awesome, at least to me, anyway. But anyways, other than those time trials aside, and all that other sort of stuff, I and the post-game content, which honestly, I felt like after the post-game content, I felt like Pac-Man World 2 should have just actually ended. Like, I really felt like Pac-Man World 2 Repack didn't really need the post-game content, but it was really cool that they added it. And honestly, the post-game content, like I mentioned, kind of reminds me of Super Mario RPG, like, remakes post-game content, where they kind of refurbish all the bosses for you and make them harder and kind of cooler and all that other sort of stuff, right? So, but other than that, like I said, and by the way, I have a full playthrough of Pac-Man World 2 on my channel that you can watch. You have a new subscriber, by the way. Thank you for subscribing, Mason. I appreciate you. But anyways, as I was saying, back to what I was saying about the post-game content. Let's talk about the Sonic content now. So the Sonic content, right here. Let me show you the Sonic content now. Pac-Man World 2. Yeah, let me show you the Sonic content so we know where we're talking about now. The segment. Repack Sonic content. Yeah, Sonic DLC, right? So the Sonic DLC / content would take you about like 30 minutes. I remember basically 30, 20, 40, 50 minutes, whatever, who gives a shit. Basically, the Sonic content is like 3 levels. It has your first stage, it has a second stage, and it has an entire boss fight with Dr. Eggman, right? A 3-phased boss fight with Dr. Eggman and stuff. And honestly, these Sonic levels are really tough. They're actually pretty tough. Maybe some of the toughest in Pac-Man World 2, but still, like, fun to some extent. But I'm going to say this about the Sonic DLC. For anyone that's wondering, like, is it cool? Is there, like, tons of voice acting? Does Sonic and Pac-Man get to meet up and have lines together? Nope. Honestly, and this is why I say it's kind of disappointing. And by the way, Eggman's boss fight has, like, 3 phases. It starts with Eggman doing just the giant chain ball shit. My boy, welcome. Keith, welcome, bro. What's up, my dude? How's your day? And oh, my dear was pretty good. Oh, and your day was pretty good? I'm glad your day was pretty good. My day was pretty good, too. I've been just trying to get some streams out real quick and all that other sort of stuff. And after that, just kind of move on, right? So, why do I say the Sonic DLC kind of felt bare bones and didn't feel like it was all that good? It kind of felt like I was playing, like, a Sonic mobile game experience. Because, like, I thought when the Sonic DLC was coming out, I thought Pac-Man and Sonic were going to have tons of interactions with each other, saying, I deal with Eggman every day, and Pac-Man was going to go back and forth, like, can we stop this guy so we can just get the fuck out of Pac-Land and all that other sort of stuff. I thought he was going to have some cool dialogue with Sonic, but no, they just went back to the silent treatment. Like, don't give me a full fucking game of Pac-Man World 2 Repack where Pac-Man's fucking talking out the ass with him and his enemies and his foes and all that other sort of stuff. And then give me the Sonic DLC where he's basically back to not talking whatsoever. But BT Dubs, also Eggman doesn't talk at all either. You would think like Eggman would be like having lines for this yellow pack in the world he's in, wondering what the fuck is up. And then Sonic also is the silent treatment. And other than like his voice lines like, oh, you did this or something. And it's just like, why did they like, and this is something that pisses me off about the game, right? Genuinely. Why did they go so hard in the base game and the post game content for the $40? And then for the DLC, they just kind of gave it the treatment of, like, your ass. Or whatever. Like, this content just, the DLC, to me, feels bare bones. And I'm not trying to say this because, oh, Alan, you played this in fairy mode, so of course it's going to feel bare bones. It's not that I played in fairy mode and just couldn't take damage and shit. It's more than that. That Naruto shirt looks, yeah, it looks cool. I like this Naruto shirt. I think my dad got me this Naruto shirt like forever ago. But as I was saying, I don't know why, but like the Sonic DLC in comparison to the original game and its post game just feels like it was half bait. It doesn't feel like it belongs in Pac-Man World 2 Repack. It doesn't feel like a good DLC. I mean, keep in mind, this DLC only has 2 levels and a boss. Just like the... what is it? Just like the post-game content levels. It starts out with Sonic giving you a letter saying, hey, I've invited you to join my world, or yada yada yada, and then you move on to Sonic's world. You also get like a Sonic skin, which Pac-Man looks kind of funny, wearing like Sonic's quills and shit, having a Sonic fit. It's kind of funny seeing that. But other than that, like, I don't know, like, it was cool because I love Sonic and I love Pac-Man, right? And seeing Pac-Man, like, run up, dash, dash little markers and shit, seeing him run like Sonic. Not like jumping like Sonic, but him fighting Sonic's enemies was kind of cool. Like seeing him fight Badniks, him going through Green Hill Zone a little bit was cool and stuff. But at the same time, like, after all that, the cool factor of its Sonic levels and stuff wore off, and not seeing, like, Eggman interact with Pac-Man, or Pac-Man interact with Eggman all that much, other than the silent treatment, which I was not appreciative of. And funny enough, like I said in the beginning of this review, but Alan, didn't you say you didn't like the voice at first? Well, like I said, I quickly warmed up to them, and again, Pac-Man World 2's voices, like, after a while, felt good. Like, deadass, I started loving Pac-Man's voice, and I honestly, I'm not trying to say I can't go back to silent treatment Pac-Man, but if you're gonna make a game where Pac-Man just talks all the way through, I expect, even in the DLC, for Pac-Man to talk all the way through, you know what I'm saying? And have cool interactions with Sonic and Eggman and shit. And I get it. This was probably made with nowhere near as much budget as, like, the original game's cost. And I know Pac-Man is not Bandai's top priority, or even in the top fucking 5, probably. It's probably Dragon Ball or the other animes that Bandai works on and shit that have more priority. So I get it that why they didn't have voice acting or anything. To me, I get questioned a lot about what's my favorite video games. Is a Pac-Man or is it a Mario, Hector? Even if it's Sonic, it's really hard if a question to me answered that. Yeah, I got you. But back to what I was saying, yeah, that's why I kind of felt like the Sonic DLC was like, it was cool, but it also felt kind of half-baked, and I didn't get to, like, experience it or enjoy it all that much because of that. Like, and also keep in mind, the boss fight with Eggman was really fucking hard and kind of annoying to deal with, so I was also getting pissed at that. But I don't know. But overall, the Sonic DLC doesn't ruin the entire experience for me. In fact, I think you should go and play Pac-Man World 2 Repack if you haven't played it already. And I also recommend the first game too, because Pac-Man World is a solid platforming video game, like, mini-series that obviously has, like, 3 games if you try to find the third game online, like the OG third game for, like, PSP or DS or I think PS2, maybe 360 and shit. But honestly, I would just highly recommend you check out Pac-Man World 2 Repack. It's on PlayStation for $30, $30 to $40. It's not really like a $60, $70 game, so you can get it for cheap. And I think Pac-Man World Repack, like the original, like, remake of the first game, or the remake of the first game, that game is on deal all the time. It's nowhere near as expensive as it once was. And honestly, even if the Sonic DLC has no voice acting or anything, I still think it's worth it to pick it up to show that you love Sonic, to show that you love Pac-Man World Repack, and so you can show that these developers that make the Repack games, that they need to continue doing this shit. They're good games. And I want to get out of here by saying I just want to thank the developers for remaking Pac-Man World 2, because if it wasn't for them remaking Pac-Man World 2, I would never have beaten Pac-Man World 2. I would never have beaten the game. I would have just left Pac-Man World to kind of die off. Now I'm kind of reinterested in the game, and I'm waiting for the third one. I'm waiting for the third one to be remade now, which will probably be in a year or two from now or something like that. I have no idea the timeline for the Pac-Man World series now, but I'm in it. I'm in it, full on in it. And maybe I'll go back to playing Pac-Man World 2 Repack when, I feel like it or something. But for now, I'm going to leave it off here. Thank you for listening to my review for 30 minutes. I know there wasn't any music in the background or I barely showed any gameplay footage. I just don't want to, spend so much time on one thing versus the other, versus the other, versus the other, versus the other, and all that other sort of stuff like that. But thank you for watching my Pac-Man World 2 Repack my experience video. If you guys also played the game, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments of this video. Like, did you guys enjoy the game? I also heard a lot of people say like Pac-Man World 2 Repack is a phenomenal game, but it changes so much that it doesn't even feel like Pac-Man World 2. It feels like Pac-Man World, like a brand new Pac-Man World, which, in my opinion, since I haven't played like the original game in full before the repack version of World 2, I can't really say if it feels like a brand new game entirely, but it does, for me, it felt so much better than the original, and it's not even funny. And obviously, it's not as hard as the original, because you can turn on fairy mode if you want, but obviously, it's still a challenging game in some segments, but just not like the most hardest game of all time or something like that. But if you're looking for a platformer that's a solid time, a solid amount of hours, like 5, 6, 7, 8 hour game, then Pac-Man World 2 Repack is your game. And I think you will have fun with this platformer just as much as I did, maybe even more so. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share the video with your friends. Thank you so much for watching my Pac-Man World 2 Repack review, and I'll see you guys in the next My Experience video, whenever the heck that is. Waka 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 waka. And wang. No? I'll just, you know what? Because it's Pac-Man, and because I don't know how to end the video, why not? You know what? I'll just... Well, video's over, I guess. Man, I love Pac-Man, so I'm just gonna play at the end of this review. Why not? I don't know why the load time is taking forever, but we won't worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Yeah, I didn't get very far, but, yep. This is the ending of my video, so, I'm done.